what I have learned from using it is really it can save me from doing my lower order thinking, and it can do the basics for me. I can do my higher order thinking. So I am the boss. The decision making is always me.
Hello and welcome to the Community Network. My name's Tim Burnett. I hope you're all safe and well. This week we've got a fantastic interview with Gelareh. We're going to be talking about the illusion of polish, just about the kind of impact on our thinking in our use of AI, but also looking at Gelareh's other research about really kind of delving into the minds of people and the kind of practitioners within the assessment and learning space. Gelareh is based over in Canada. She is one of the IAEA ambassadors, along with myself. We're going to be going to the IAEA conference, which is going to be at the end of September over in Toronto. You'll have noticed from the interviews that I've had so far, there's been 2 or 3 interviews. We were talking with Munira in Pakistan last week. We had Ibrahim 2 or 3 weeks before as well. So we're hoping to have a few more. Hope just to introduce you to the ambassadors in the program. Before we start, I'm just going to add this to the stage and show you that you can read the article that goes with this conversation. So if you don't want to listen to this full conversation, you can hear and get a feel for what Gelareh has to say about her work. Don't forget, whilst you're on the Community Network, we have the toolkits, which are available now. So these is a series of apps that you can use to your day-to-day tasks as item authoring tool in there. It's a beta version just to kind of prove a concept around there as well. But I'm going to be adding some more features around item authoring coming very soon, just to kind of assist in that space and give you an insight into the model's capabilities with that. We've got an assessment platform procurement. So if you're looking to procure, comparative judgment, if you want to try and experiment with that, video capture. So if you want to do some marketing or if you want to do some assessment-based video capture exercises, AI debates, this formative feedback on presentations feature, and we've also got this stage captions feature. So if you run an event and you want to have live transcription captions and you want to control that, you can change the logos that go on there, you control the font that's on there, you can increase the size, etc. On everything on there as well. So you've got a cool tool that you could use just to reinforce some of the language that's in there. I'm actually working on another app, which is a live translation app based on the Google Translate service. Don't also forget, in the collection space, you can see all the amazing articles that have been identified and curated for you. If you sign up to the Community Network, you get that email through your inbox. And don't also forget that if you go to the podcast, if you find the podcast in your favorite podcast player for the Community Network, you'll get the interview with Gelareh, but you also get an audio version of the articles which have been published. Anyway, right, on to my conversation now with Gelareh. I hope you enjoy it. This is a really good one. Over to Gelareh and myself.
Hi, Tim. I'm very well, and thank you for having me.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I think I'm looking at your kind of your notes about what you do and where you're exploring, and I suppose some of the drivers for you attending the IAEA conference. And yeah, we're joint ambassadors on the conference, but for people who don't know yourself, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about who you are, what you do, and one of your reasons for being at the conference.
Sure. Well, hello to you and your audience. I'm Gelareh Keshavarz. You can call me Gela. That's a difficult name to pronounce. So I'm a doctoral candidate, an educator, and a change management professional. I'm based in Ontario, about 40 minutes north of Toronto, Canada. And in the past decades, I have held teaching and administrative roles in several post-secondary institutions in Canada and in the UK, and currently serving as the president of Athabasca University Graduate Student Association and as a member of Athabasca University Board of Governance, which means I sit at the intersection of governance, leadership, and multiple levels of education simultaneously. So from the classroom to the student voice to the institutional decision making, that's where I am. So at IAEA, I'm an ambassador for Canadian and post-secondary institutions. So my research which uses interpretive phenomenological analysis explores how the presence of generative AI is reshaping the lived experience of multilingual educators. I'm a second language learner, so I picked multilingual educators as a focus. And from those experiences, I developed design consideration for redesigning assessment and professional developments.
So you mentioned that interpretive, I've got the word here, interpretive
Phenomenological analysis. It's mouthful.
It is, yeah. So what's involved in that? It's not something I've necessarily come across before, so it's a bit of a new term to me.
But let's just start from the fact that it's not a quantitative research; it's qualitative research. But what it draws me into it is, there's a process into it. We call it double hermeneutic. So participants explain their lived experiences, and I interpret their interpretation, but then I have to hold my own because I'm an educator. I'm multilingual. We're kind of co-researching, so I need to hold on to my thoughts and listen really to what I hear in terms of the tension that AI as a presence creates in their lives. So it's very interpretive. It's a very deep and a slow and reflective process. So the research means I read their transcriptions many times, and I look at even their body language, even the way they say things to see what they're really saying. And I double check that with them. It's a very interesting, slow process.
Yeah. And is it a bit like kind of delving into someone's diary and then getting to, I suppose, explain, the thoughts and feelings and reflections around that? Is that the kind
Interesting you say that, because I never kept a diary or journal myself. I don't understand when people say they write. I write a lot, but I don't really write journal or reflection. I write every night about what happens and what I need to do, but that's in my kind of to-do list. But I'm realizing probably this is exactly what it is with my participants, because they tell me, and as they tell me their story, sometimes they go a layer deeper and they tell me why or how they have those feelings, and I think about them and I think about my own feelings, and you're right, it's actually secret door to people's real thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of really getting into the brain, isn't it, really? So obviously we're both going to the IAEA conference. We're going to be meeting other ambassadors. We're going to be engaged in networking. What's the one trend that you think, in your region, particularly from your experiences, that the wider IAEA community should be thinking about? And paying attention to? What's that kind of trend you think's there?
The most critical trend that I am observing, and we probably need to collectively observe, is the illusion of polish, what I call it. So what I'm seeing in post-secondary education context is that what is happening is we see when AI is not invited into the process of thinking, and it comes out in the final polished work. When things look polished and done and authoritative, we don't question the process of thinking behind it, and we accept it. And that is becoming an issue. And I think that is what probably we need to think about. And this is what OECD calls it as cognitive laziness, that we outsource our thinking to a machine. And maybe that's what we need to think about, how we make sure we don't pay a lot of attention to the product, see if we can ask our student to share this hybridity. Hybridity means, when AI and human work together, to explain to us the process of how this hybridity work. Where did you relinquish power? Where did you use it? When did you use AI as a ghostwriter? When do you use it as an interlocutor? This tension, again, part of my research is a post-phenomenological research. So we look at the tension. When work with AI, what do we give? What do we take? AI may not be an equalizer in the class because people who have money go and get the pro version, people who don't, I don't, the things can happen, but it might be an agent of social change for people with learning disabilities and difficulties. And, people can have higher aspiration when they have a tool that can help them as a professional development tool. So it's about what we give, what we take, how much voice and authenticity we lose, but how much more we can gain.
Yeah, and you raised two interesting points there, because in terms of the generative AI usage and access, we are going to see, because well, all the models, so OpenAI, their models, the ones that you can access for free are the instant models, aren't they? They're kind of non-reasoning instant models. And there's a risk that as we become interlocked in our working with these models, that some people who only have access to the free models are going to be using not the dumber models, but they're not as capable in terms of but the other people can have access to more intelligent models, aren't they? So do you see that as a threat, really, an ongoing threat as we learn more about this?
As I said, that is one of the threats. But if you really think of it, AI is a problem, but the bigger problem has always been the literacy issue, the infrastructure issue. AI really doesn't add into any of that. If you have basic infrastructure and a computer, you can open a Word document and you can open a browser and access AI. So I think it's difficult really to say, yes, as I said, there is tension there, but how do we navigate this? And that takes us the whole discussion of AI literacy and AI fluency. We all have access to it, so we know how the tool works. That's where you click, that's what you do. But then when it comes to the judgment part, one of my participants compared AI. She said, I would never trust AI because it's a technology, as I would never trust my stove.
Right.
The stove, yeah, I can cook stuff in it, but it's for me to decide, what do I cook? Is it a good thing to put on the table, and what do I do with it? So there's a lot of what we do with it, but like anything else, access is always an issue.
And the tool, it's different tools, aren't they? And it is a tool, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yes.
And the other point really was this idea of cognitive offloading that people talk about, and the fact that we kind of develop one theory or mindset that I'm building over time is I'm talking with people about automation projects, about how they can use AI to automate tasks, and they complain quite frequently about the fact that the reason why they want to use it is because these things are boring, monotonous. So research and looking up and finding people for marketing and sales tasks. But my argument is that there's actually some value to those tasks because you're building cognitive connections. So it's not about the kind of just stuff. You are building up this mental map and picture, and build. And that's one of my areas of worry, where I think yes, it does help, and it's great if it comes up with all the people that you need to research and all the products. But you lose something there, don't you? You lose those connections along the way, which I think is a big challenge. Is that something you've kind of experienced or had some?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. You're using it as a professional, as you've been in technology, in the world of technology for much longer, and all that. So my thinking is more with students, educator in places that resources are scarce and all that scarce. So I'm thinking of, again, critical AI literacy. How do I really use this? Where do I use it? Where do I not? I remember when I started my doctorate, one of our professor asked, so do you use Gen AI? And we all said, no, we're really hardworking students. That was 5 years ago. We just do our own thing. And he said, so when are you going to start? When are you going to learn? Your doctoral students. So his expectation from us was that evaluative critical thinking, carving our pathways, learning what we can do. And we were just, compliance was our thing. So this is not new. And I think during COVID-19, we had the same thing when online learning came up. We all were compliance. We had to put our courses online. But because we didn't know the underlying reasons. Argres and Sean they have a concept, double loop learning, that you question your thinking, you think about your thinking and your questions. But we did not think then, okay, so we're teaching online, but what is changing? How we need to do that? If we just photocopy the same thing, put them online, can we create that community of inquiry? But because we didn't go through that double loop learning, the single loop learning, that's from organizational development concept. The single loop learning tells us, okay, do the same thing, put it online. So it's the same thing with technology. When it comes, we need to find a place for it. How do we use it? What do we do with it? When Khan Academy, a few years ago, was it last year that the Khan Amigo came out, and they said, okay, every teacher in the world has a teacher assistant, every student in the world has a private tutor. Few years on, the promise has not happened yet, because the way we create this connection needs to be where people really want things to happen and how things need to happen. So there's a lot about bringing AI into the design. It can be a great tool if you're doing some literature review, but how and when that can be used is the question, because it really can be the ghostwriter and write it in an hour. So there's a lot about how do we create space for the presence of this tool that affects our decision making.
Yeah. Is there a time when it's on the Khan Academy one, I understand that they've quietly shut down Amigo, I think someone was saying. I don't know if that's...
Probably have heard us talking about them.
Yeah, someone mentioned it at a conference. I keep meaning to go off and actually investigate myself. Is there something that, other than obviously in an exam where you're told you can't use AI, is there a task or job that you personally would say, I am not going to use AI for that? Absolutely not. I would never let AI do that. You may have never thought about it, but it's just that occurred to me.
I think that is the first question I ask with everything. But what I have learned from using it is really it can save me from doing my lower order thinking, and it can do the basics for me. I can do my higher order thinking. So I am the boss. The decision making is always me. Things that come out of my computer, my hand represents me. But I do need help. There are things. One of my participants told me something very interesting. She teaches finance. She's a professor of finance in Kenya, and she's the director of all service learning in Africa. She is a quantitative researcher, but at her university, with the role she has and everything, she had to become a qualitative researcher. So she taught herself how to become a qualitative researcher with AI, because there is no professional development or continuing studies in her Department of Continuing Studies in her university. So she had to teach herself. She had to carve her own capability pathway, and that's what I call my research is on self-determined leadership. When you create your own route, your own path, your own goal, and your own tools, how you want to get to where you want to get, and then you get help from your networks and many other. Curriculum is still there. No one should worry about it. You still get help from that. But this, what I call self-determined leadership, heutagogical leadership, is to me becoming the trend, top from bottom to up. We are training ourselves on our needs before policy catches up. The change is happening to us, and we need to do something about it. So we go and learn.
Yeah. We adapt to do. So with IAEA conference, it's in Toronto. Given this year's focus really is about trust, transparency, and technology, what are you looking forward to most about the conference? What's going to be your big takeaway, your big target?
I'm mostly looking forward to redefining how we use the word trust, as you just mentioned. When it comes to technology, particularly, So go back to the participants that I shared with you that said I would never trust my stove.
Mm.
The issue of trust is very important, and the critical judgment that helps us to kind of see which part of power we relinquish and which part we take. So I'm particularly looking forward to see how this discussion is happening in other parts of the world. What is failing, what is working, how their assessment is changing. Are the assessment really becoming collaborative, more collaborative to become as authentic as possible? Are we really thinking about the fact that assessment should be negotiated? Um, we just don't say yes to archaic program rules because governance systems were done many years ago. So I want to hear this from colleagues from all over the world to see what they are dealing with, because the context matters.
And I suppose because you could find that out by picking off one-to-one conversations, but the beauty of these kind of in-person events is it's back to that cognitive connections thing, isn't it? It's connections through insight and through engagement and presentation, and that you learn so much by listening, don't you? And then you're able to immediately act on it. If you read an article, it's going to take you a while before you could actually follow the author of that article and make that. But that's the beauty of these in-person events, isn't it? You just being able to get together and have those free-flowing conversations.
Very, very nicely said. So I guess you and I are both conferenciers. I love conferences. I go to many of them. I like that connection, as you said. It just, you connect with people, and then it gives you ideas. And but with IAEA, I am particularly excited about it because I'm impressed with their whole project management skills. You've noticed that in some of the meetings they have. They are very organized. They have thought about many things. They have really thought about welcoming their guests. And I think there is enough connection time built into the conference, because that's sometimes what you're missing in conference time. You go to presentation room, another presentation room, you still don't know the name of the presenter, and it's gone. So hopefully we're going to have lots of time to have good conversation with our colleagues.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. So I go to conferences like the Innovations Conference, which is a great conference. Or I will do once America changes its administration. I'll go back. But the one thing that's great about the conference is there's so much content. But the downside is you're literally moving from room to room to room to room. You're passing people in the corridor you really want to have conversation with. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to sitting down with people and building those connections and delving in more deeply into the conversations they have. I think there's a lot to be said from it, isn't there?
That's interesting. You just said something right now that reminded me of a story. Again, one of my participants told me about learning under the tree. That is in their tradition. Knowledge is never to sell. You don't go to an institution to buy knowledge. You sit under trees and you talk and you learn. And this trip to Niagara Falls that's built into the conference may just be, yes, it's a bonus. It's taking us to Niagara Falls, but I am sure it's going to create conditions for learning and discussions that the most glamorous conference rooms cannot. So these are the little things that made me interested about IAEA. Maybe we are going to have an opportunity to sit under a tree and talk.
I think that sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Yeah, let's find a tree and let's sit down and have a really good conversation. Yeah, that sounds lovely. I think that's a perfect place to end that. So thank you very much. I'm really excited to meet you in person. I'm really looking forward to the conference.
Thank you very much.
Sharing your views. And I hope with these conversations, it adds that extra 15 minutes of warm-up. So when people know and meet you at a conference, they'll go, yeah, I want to jump straight on this topic.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for this time, Tim. It was great talking to you.
Excellent one. Thank you. And I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you for that. Where have I gone? There I am. Thank you. That was fascinating. I just love the idea of sitting under the tree and having conversations about how we can make assessment better, give it more value. I think that's my big thing at the moment is, we go through the assessment process. So just an insight into my day yesterday. I went to one of my local high schools, and which is possibly where my kids are going to go. And I sat down and did interviews with the lower sixth form class. So these are just after GCSE, so just before university, or considering what university course they're going to do. And I interviewed just the most amazing future leaders and future members of our community, really, future workforce. And I think I get down on a little bit when people kind of say that the students coming through the system, they're not what we were or anything like that. They didn't make the system. They didn't make this. So let's just try and support them and give them as much value from the assessment process as they can. And I hope that sitting down with these students and giving them a mock interview experience gave them some value back. I really enjoyed it as an experience. So thank you for everyone. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. You take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.